Hello and welcome to another Flightgear tutorial. Today I want to show you how to use the navigation computer and the route manager for the Tupolev 154 in the Flightgear flight simulator. So this is the cockpit of the Tupolev 154, and here in the central pedestal, these four fields here, this is in fact your NVU, your navigational unit, your navigation computer, and you can use it to make the plane follow a predefined route. So you can enter the route into the route manager as you are used to from other Flightgear models, but the menu is not located in the autopilot menu. You see this is deactivated. You find it here in the Tupolev menu. There's the route manager. And here you can see that I have already entered the route that we will be flying today. It is a test flight that it's a test flight from Warsaw in Poland to Berlin-Tegel, crossing these beacons and checkpoints here. And this route I derived from the Tupolev 154 manual that you can download from GitHub. When we have a look at this manual, it's a PDF file, and I suggest before you try using the Tupolev 154 for the first time that you have a look into this PDF, because it is very detailed. It's in English. The name of the file is Tu-154eng for English PDF, and if you enter this into Google together with GitHub, you will find the location of this file. You can download it, and here you can find mostly all the information that I'm giving you now with this practice flight. For example, here is the description of this navigation computer and of the different functions of it. And the test flight that we will be doing is also described here when I flip to page 47. This is a suggested test flight from Echo Papa Whiskey Alpha to Echo Delta Delta Tango with these beacons here: Mragowo, Danzig, Darlowo, Heringsdorf, and Berlin-Tegel. So let's check if I got the checkpoints right. We can also verify this with the map, and I will keep the Flightgear map open all the time so that you can see what's going on during the flight and how the plane is following this predefined path in a semi-automatic way. Let's have a look. So we are starting here in Warsaw on runway 33. And the first checkpoint that we're going to is the Mragowo VOR-DME. This is the first leg that we're following to Mragowo. It's a VOR, so we're also using the DME information to do corrections in the navigation computer, especially for the distance to the first beacon. Then we go to Danzig, so we make a left turn, going to Danzig. There's an NDB. We will use this non-directional beacon for orientation. Then we go to the next VOR, Darlowo. Then Heringsdorf. I think that's at the eastern sea coast of Germany. And then turning south to intercept the ILS for runway 26 left of Berlin-Tegel. So far, what I did here is a procedure that you most probably know from other Flightgear models. I just entered the destination, Berlin-Tegel, and I entered these different beacons here with waypoint. And then I activated the route. But how do I get this route now into the navigation computer? There is another thing that you must do. on top of the route manager, there's also the NVU calculator. And this is another tool that you must use if you want to use the navigation computer. So we close this. We try to keep those checkpoints in mind. And when I entered the route into the route manager, it was automatically transmitted also into this NVU calculator. Here you can see the different checkpoints again. You see our departure, Warsaw, and then the checkpoints, Margowo, Danzig, Darlowo, Heringsdorf, and our destination, Berlin-Tegel. So these are the coordinates for the different legs that we will make the plane follow. So we have to transfer this information into the navigation computer. How do we transfer it into the navigation computer? There are two ways. You can do it manually. You can do it manually with load selected. You select one of them and load it manually into the navigation computer. Or you can use the virtual navigator. It's a tool which does it automatically. Whenever you finish one of those legs of the route, the next waypoint is automatically transmitted into the navigation computer. So first of all, we have to apply a so-called fork, which is an automatic correction between your geographical position and your geographical heading and your magnetic heading. So you will see that those values here, those direction values, they change a little bit. It adds a correction factor. And if you don't use this fork here, you will see a quite drastic deviation of your plane from the path that you want it to fly. So you have to add the fork for magnetic correction. And now we will load one of those checkpoints here, the Mragowo beacon. I will load it manually into the navigation computer. I click on the Mragowo checkpoint and I load it into the computer, into the navigation computer, and then you should see this heading 357 appear in the navigation computer in the part that is currently not active. This number 1, which is lit now, the light is on, it means this leg is active and this is in standby, and we will now load this Mragowo checkpoint into the standby value. So we load selected. We are still paused, so I have to unpause with the P key. And then you see 357. The 357 value, decimal 3, is now loaded into the standby value. So now we are ready to go. We have added the fork and we have loaded the first, and from now on I want all other values, Darlowo, Heringsdorf, and so on. I want it to be loaded automatically. That's why I click Virtual Navigator and close it. Okay, from now on, the next values should be loaded automatically into the standby, into the standby register of the navigation computer. Okay, our plane is almost completely prepared for takeoff. The only thing missing, we are still on flaps up. I will go to flaps position 1. Release the parking brake. And off we go. Little bit of throttle to synchronize the 3 engines of the Tupolev 154. Use the rudder to stay on the center line, and now use full throttle. We will rotate at around 300 kilometers per hour here on the speedometer. and rotate. Retract the gear. Try to keep the current heading. Retract the flaps. Make sure you get a positive climb. Here the climb rate should be between 5 and 10. And now we can already activate the auto throttle. To keep the speed, not for overspeeding, around 450 kilometers per hour. And we can activate the autopilot. And follow the heading bug. I just adjusted the heading bug to go straight ahead. Okay. Now we are almost on the first checkpoint where we have to do the first right turn. So I changed the register from 1 to 2. And I make the plane follow the navigation computer. You do it with this button on your autopilot. At the moment we're following this yellow heading bug, and now I make the plane follow the predefined route manager with this button here, the second one on the left. You see, we're making a right turn. The plane is now going into this direction, into this heading 357, but what is wrong? It says we're on the left side of our path. This is wrong. I have to correct this. The plane is turning into the wrong direction. I will explain the details of this NVU to you while we're in flight. Okay, the climb rate is a little too high. Speed is okay. Climb rate should be around 10. And then I will explain to you the functions of these two panels, of these 4 different panels here. Okay, 2 is not enough. Okay. Once these digits here are on 0, that means we don't have any deviation from our flight path, and then the plane will simply head for this direction here, 357. Okay, now the distance, we have to adjust this field here shows the distance that the navigation computer will go before he changes the register to the next waypoint. So we have to make sure that this distance here, you see how it counts down to the next checkpoint, that it matches the DME information that we're getting from the Mragovo DME. We're now at a distance of 155 kilometers, and this should match. And you see it does not match. This value is too low. So I will switch to S here. And now I can change this. S stands for distance. I can change the distance with these arrow buttons. I have to increase the distance until it matches the DME value. So we're going up to something around 150. 150. Now it matches. You see, the distance that is still to go in the navigation computer to the Mragovo DME should match the DME distance that we are receiving via radio. We are now still a little bit on the right of our predefined flight path, so I will change this correctional value here. Let's say to 2. That will make the plane turn to the left until this value is down to 0 again. The plane will always try to keep these Z values, which means deviation, to count it down to 0, and once it is 0, the plane will simply follow the heading that is predefined here in the heading indicator. Okay. Now we have to actually aviate the plane, so we are already above 10,000 feet, so we can increase the speed. We're not bound anymore to the speed limit of 250 knots. We will be going up to a little bit above 500 kilometers per hour, like this, and we can switch off the landing lights. And we can go to standard air pressure, 2992 inches. Make sure that the climb rate doesn't get too high. It should be something around 10 here with your vertical speedometer. So we will pitch down a little so that we have a decent climb rate, not too extreme. And our cruising flight level will be flight level 200, so we will only go up to 20,000 feet. Now this is all done. And now we're following the first leg of our predefined route to our first checkpoint, the Mragovo VOR DME. And this is the DME distance that is transmitted via radio from the DME transmitter of this beacon. So now we can start. We will first wait until we're on our cruising flight level of 20,000 feet, and then I will stop the climb so that we can take full care of the navigation computer. And then I will explain to you how the navigation computer works and what you can actually do with it. So 19,000 feet, we can still pitch down a little. And once we're at 20,000 feet, I will just press this altitude hold button. We're now not climbing anymore, we have to climb a little more. And now. Going a little bit too far, but it will go down again. We have to fine-tune the altitude to be flying exactly at 20,000 feet. There will be a little bit of swing back. Let's pitch down to lose these couple of hundred feet again. With a very low sync rate. And now I press the altitude hold again. Sec. And now we should be on flight level 200. That's okay for now. Also the speed is okay. We can check, this is the speed in kilometers per hour, 530, and in knots you can just use the HUD to see we're 283 knots. This is okay for cruise. Okay, now we're on our cruise altitude and speed, and now we can take care of the navigation computer. Okay, the navigation computer, how does it work? In these fields here, you get heading information. This is the current heading that we're following, heading 357, so almost dead center to the north. You have two registers, one of them is active and the other one is standby. The one where the light is on is currently active. You see our register number 2 is active and the register number 1 is standby. And when the distance counter is down to 80 kilometers, a new value for the next leg will be entered automatically into the standby heading. So when we wait to 80, then the next value should be entered. This is not the next value. Let's have a look in the U calculator. The next one, it's already in there. 282.3 is the heading for the next leg. to Danzig, but the distance information here is not correct. The next leg will be this distance, but the distance to go is still not entered. And once we're here at 80 kilometers, you will see that values are entered into these fields automatically. Let's just wait what happens when this counter is down to 80 kilometers distance. Have a look at this area here. You see? The distance to go to the next checkpoint, Danzig, is now entered. It's also counting down. So the register number 2 is active. And these are the distance and deviation values here. So the leg had a complete length of 170 kilometers. This leg here, between our turning point and Mragowo, this is 170 kilometers. And this is the countdown here, the distance countdown. It counts down from 170 to 0, and then the navigation computer automatically flips to the next leg. And with this dial here, you can decide when exactly the navigation computer does the switch over to the next leg. Now this dial is pointing to the 5 here, and that means the switch to the next leg will not happen when the countdown is to 0, but when it's to 5 kilometers. When you switch to 10, the switch over will happen earlier when the countdown is down to 10 kilometers to go, and so on. So we're using 5 kilometers to go for the automatic switch from the active register to the standby register. You can also force a manual switch if you turn the dial to this leftmost position here. Then you will force a manual switch from heading 357 to heading 282, and your plane will initiate a left turn immediately. That's not what we want. We still have some distance to go to Mragowo. And if you have a DME checkpoint here, you can use it for correction of the distance. You see, the countdown of our active register says 55 kilometers to go. And we can verify if this distance is correct with the DME information. And the DME also says, okay, 55 kilometers to go according to the radio signal from the Mragowo DME. So that matches, the distance is okay, but we are not exactly on our flight path. We are left of the flight, right of the flight path. And you can correct this with this Z value. This is the deviation. A positive deviation here with a plus means you are on the right of your flight path. A negative means you're on the left of the flight path. We are now something around 5 kilometers deviated to the right. So I will, first you have to switch this dial here to Z, then you can change the values here in the Z register, and now I will increase the positive value here to tell the navigation computer, hey, you're not flying along the pre-planned flight path, you're on the right side, turn to the left. And that's what I do now. I enter here with these arrow buttons. I will enter a value of 5 kilometers. We're around about 5 kilometers deviated to the right. And that's now reflected in this Z deviation value. 5 kilometers to the right will make the navigation computer turn the plane to the left until this value is counted down to 0. And that would mean no deviation again. So we're turning left. You see the plane is banking to the left. And it will continue this left course until this deviation counter is down to 0 again. You do the same thing when your plane is on the left side of your flight path. You enter a negative value here with this left arrow, and then your plane will turn to the right to correct this deviation. So it's still not enough. We're still left of our flight path. I will again add 5 more kilometers of deviation value to make the plane turn left again, to do another course correction. So let's take care of the distance again. 25 kilometers from the turning point, 25 kilometers from the beacon. So that matches fine. Okay, now that's good enough for the moment. Now we have to check the distance. I chose an offset of 5 kilometers. So when this counter is down to 5 kilometers distance, the navigation computer will flip from active to the next leg, to standby. And 2 kilometers before that, so when the counter is down to 7 kilometers, you will hear the navigation computer giving you an audible warning that the turning to the next leg is imminent and that your plane will do a course change very soon. So let's have a look at the distance countdown. When this is down to 7, you will hear the voice of the navigation computer. Or maybe it should simulate the voice of your navigator. And then your plane, at 7 kilometers you should hear the voice. At 5 you will see the switch from active to standby, and then your plane will turn left to follow the new heading 282. This was the voice. Now 2 more kilometers, once we're down to 5, you will see the automatic switch over. That was the switch. Now register number 1 is active. The plane is turning to the left until the heading of the plane is 282. You see, we're banking to the left. You can also see it here in the map. And here in your compass instrument you can also see the new heading is entered here with the white needle, 282. Now we're going into the right direction, but we're a little bit on the right of our flight path, so there should be a correction factor of 2 or 3 kilometers with a positive value. Let's have a look what is now in the computer. So we have to look at register number 1. It says we are 1 kilo. So now we have to look at this field here because register number 1 is now active. We have 154 kilometers to go to the next checkpoint, which is a non-directional beacon. And we're a little bit on the right. It is not correct. I will add a little bit more of correction factor here. Maybe 3 kilometers to the right. I tell the navigation computer, hey, we're not on our path, we are 3 kilometers deviated to the right, and the navigation computer will try to correct this now by doing a left turn until this is counted down to 0. Okay. Let's check speed and altitude are still okay. Okay. Could be a little bit more. Let's do another correction. 3. To make the navigation computer do another correction to the left. And then we should be on our flight path. And after that I will use time compression to speed things up a little bit, not to bore you. Okay. This time, as our next beacon does not have a DME, we don't have any correction factor, but we can already switch to the following DME. I go to DME number 2. And now we should see the distance not to this NDB, it doesn't have a DME information, but to the next one, to Darlovo. We will use it for correction of the distance to the next leg. But for this leg, we have to just rely on the information of the navigation computer. So now we're on our way. Let's speed up the time compression. And again, when the distance counter is down to 80 kilometers, you will see that the values for the next leg, for the heading 273, will be entered into this field here. Let's have a look. When we're down to 80, you should see the new values here. Here it is. And this time, so that you can see the effect, we will make the navigation computer switch from active to standby when we're 10 kilometers out. So I turn this dial to 10, and then you will see we will get this audible warning at 12 kilometers distance, and at 10 the switch over to the next leg will happen. So let's compress time again. And at 12 you will hear that navigator's voice again, and at 10 there will be the switch over from active to standby. Let's see. At 12 you should hear the voice. This was the navigator's warning, and at 10 the navigation computer should switch from 1 to 2. That was the switch. And now the plane should bank to the left. For the next leg. You see we have quite some major deviation now to the right, so we have to correct this again. We're now on register number 2. These are the values. So the distance seems to be okay, but we are far deviated to the right, at least 10 kilometers, even more. So I have to correct this here with a Z value for deviation. You can speed up the change here with this center button here. When you click on this, it says adjust speed fast, and then the change of the numbers will be much faster. Let's say 15 kilometers. We are quite far away from our flight path now. You can see this is this yellow needle. It's the direction to this NDB here. I entered the frequency into the radio stack of the plane. And after that, we will use the DME information from Darlovo DME to do a correction of the distance in the navigation computer again. This is the DME signal from Darlovo, 152 kilometers. And here you can see it's already much too low. I will switch from Z, from deviation, to S, which is distance. And now I can change this value here. And the value is too low. That's due to the correction maneuver that we did. We are now... I will wait until we are back exactly on our flight path, and then I will do the distance correction. Otherwise, I have to repeat the correction again and again. Okay, the deviation is even higher. So I will make the navigation computer count down the deviation to 0 again and see if we're back on our flight path then. We will go back to the standard value of 5 kilometers for the offset for the switch. Okay, that was too much. Now we're left of our flight path. Has to do another little correction to the right. You see, now the navigation computer indicates that we are deviated to the left, because now the value is negative. Minus 4 kilometers means 4 kilometers deviation to the left. Maybe it's not 4, it's a little bit less. It's maybe only 3. And when this course correction is done, I will do the distance correction using the Darlovo DME. Okay, that's good enough now. Now you can see this distance between our plane and the Darlovo DME. It is shown here in the DME. 123 kilometers. And this is our distance to go according to the navigation computer, and this is too low. We have to increase it. So I have to switch the navigation computer from deviation to distance, from Z to S, and now I can change this value, and I will change it, I will increase it until it matches the DME information. 118, 117.5 now, 116, 115, now it matches. 114 kilometers. Okay. So now we should be heading for Darlovo. Let's see. Because we have a lot of deviation now, I think I might try the next leg without the drift correction here. Let's see if that works better. And now we can compress time again. That does not really make things better. I think the deviation is according to the wind. No, it makes things better when I deactivate the drift correction here. A little bit better. Okay, let's have a look at the navigation computer again. When we're at 80, you will see the new values here. Okay, the values for the next leg were transmitted now from the NVU calculator into the NVU. Okay, when the distance is down to 7 kilometers, you will hear the navigator's warning, and at 5 we switch from active to standby, from register number 2 to register number 1, and initiate another left turn to the course 245. Okay, at 7 you should hear the navigator's voice. And at 5 there should be the switch from register 2 to register 1. That was the automatic switch. The plane should bank to the left. So 2 more legs to go until we intercept the ILS for the Berlin-Tegel runway. So it is time to initiate our descent. Now I will descend from 20,000 to 10,000 feet. First we will reduce our speed to 400 kilometers. So I use the auto throttle to move the speed bug, this red speed bug, from 500 to 400. I turn this speed dial here. And I will use the speed brakes, pressing the K button on my keyboard to extend the speed brakes. Here you can see those speed brakes. See, the plane is slowing down, and once we're at 400 kilometers per hour, we will start our descent from 20,000 to 10,000 feet. Okay. Let's pitch down the nose. So now we are descending. The sink rate is around 10. That's okay. Not too hard. Yeah, and this is about it. How to use the navigation computer. So there will be another course change in a distance of 133 kilometers to the final leg with the heading 192, and then we will intercept the ILS for Berlin-Tegel. So in fact, this is it about how to use the navigation computer in the Tupolev 154. So this video ends here. Thanks for watching and see you again next time. Goodbye.